Then we go, oh my God, that's too much. So the first driving lesson is probably the one that a lot of learners get scared of the most. And that's because they don't know what to expect. They don't know what the instructor is going to be like. They're thinking maybe they're going to do some crazy driving. They don't trust themselves as well. And they're thinking, how am I going to control the car? It's really scary. On this video, I'm going to show you that you don't have to be scared of your first lesson. In fact, it's something to look forward to and be excited about. If you already started your driving lessons, did you drive on your first lesson? Yes or no? Or if you are looking forward to your lessons, do you want to drive on your first lesson? Yes or no? Just put that in the comment below. I want to see whether people want to drive on their first lesson or not. Now, me personally, on my lessons, when I teach my learners, I like to get them driving on their first lesson. But there are some few things you get to do first before you drive. Some instructors won't let you drive on their first lesson. So if you're not sure what's going to happen, the best thing you can do, ask your instructor beforehand and say, are we going to drive on their first lesson or not? And they'll tell you. And if you are going to drive, most of the time they'll bring you somewhere like here where it's really quiet, there's not too much going on. But you might see a few learners going past as we do this video, because this is a really good road to come and do your lessons on. So most instructors will go somewhere quiet to begin with. If you live in a busy place, they might drive you there on the first lesson, and then you can start over there. And then as you get better, you can start from your house. That's how most instructors work. If you're lucky enough to live on a road like this, you might even just start from your home because it's quiet enough. But for most people, we get them to drive somewhere safe first or somewhere quieter, and then we can start the lessons there. Because it's your first lesson, you're going to get told how the car works and how the controls work. And on most lessons, most instructors are not going to be too concerned about the road so much, and in terms of, you know, junctions and who has priority, because that comes afterwards. There's a lot to learn in driving. So the first thing you want to do is learn how to control the car and what the controls do. So you might have what's called a controls lesson, where they'll talk to you about what the gear does, what each of the pedals do, what the handbrake does, how to hold the steering wheel, how to indicate. So they'll cover all the stuff that you need to know in terms of how to control the car. They might not go into too much detail because, remember, you can't learn everything in one lesson. It will take a long time for you to learn all these things and to actually understand fully how they work. So don't worry too much about trying to understand how everything works to a T. Sometimes you might even just understand a bit, but then the more driving lessons you do, then you go, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. So don't try to, you know, fully understand everything, because it's a learning process and you're going to build on bits of knowledge as you go through the journey of learning to drive. So a good instructor will be asking you lots of questions while they're doing this, and you should be asking questions as well. So if you want to learn quickly, ask lots of questions. Don't be shy. Even if you feel like it's going to be a silly question, don't feel like that, or don't be embarrassed to ask questions, because the more questions you ask, the quicker you're going to understand things, the faster you learn, and the more money you're going to save. So even if it's something that you're 99% sure about, ask it, and then the instructor will talk you through it, and together you learn more. So make sure, if you have any questions, ask. So most instructors will get you to do on your first lesson what's called a cockpit drill. This is, I'm going to go through this quickly with you, but there's a more detailed video if you want to look at that. But it's basically getting you used to getting in the car and setting up the car for you to drive, which is what is called a cockpit drill. So it's going to be, first of all, the doors. So the doors are going to be the first thing you think about when you get in your car, making sure that the doors are closed properly. Sort your seat out as well. So your seat is very important, and how you sit is going to be very important to how you drive as well. So they get you to adjust your seat and get you comfortable. Sometimes, because it's your first lesson, you might not know exactly which position is best for you and how comfortable you are. Don't worry too much about this straight away, because once you start driving, you might feel like, oh, this is not right. And then you can stop somewhere safe and adjust it again. And they'll also get you to adjust your steering wheel, because you can adjust your steering wheel by pushing this lever down and then moving it up and down. Most cars you can do this, where you can adjust it to how you like, because some people like to have the steering wheel a bit lower because they may be a bit shorter, or some people might like to have it a bit higher, or just like in the right position, so that you can still see the dials as you're driving. They will also get you to adjust your mirrors, and this is done by using this button here, and you can push it left and right for the door mirrors. For the left door mirror, you push it to this side, then you can adjust it. You also get to adjust this mirror, where you can move it around and until you can see the back window, or the windscreen, the back windscreen there fits into the mirror, and you can see it without having to like lean or stretch. Just from your seating position there, you can see your mirrors all, your mirrors properly without having to move too much. So what I like to do on my first lesson with my learners is to show them how the gear stick works, especially trying it without the car moving. So I'll get them to press the clutch and try out how to actually go into gear. So what you find is a lot of learners will be doing this. They'll be looking down and trying to change the gear like that and doing all that kind of stuff because they're not familiar with where their gears are. What I like them to do actually is to just practice without looking as well. So we'll go into gear 1 and gear 2. Why do you think it's important to not look at the gears when you're changing them? Put your answers in the comments and I will talk about it on the next video. Once you start to understand a bit about how the controls work, remember, if you're not sure, ask questions again. Once you understand the basics of it, most instructors now will talk about moving off. And moving off is in itself could be a whole lesson because there's a lot to it. You get taught how to look around properly, which is making sure that it's safe everywhere before you move off, and then driving on. So usually they'll give you a demonstration first and then you can do it yourself. And after that, after you practice that, is then turning the engine on and getting ready to move. This is a bit that some people get excited about, some people get really scared. And what I like to do with my learners is get them to practice pressing the pedals, especially the gas, because the gas, you see, it's very sensitive. And if you're not used to it, a lot of learners on the first lesson, they'll press it really hard and then they get surprised, oh, why is it going like that? It's because it's really sensitive. So take a bit of time just to practice pressing it and trying to hold it at the same point without too much, without too little, and then letting go, and then pressing it again, holding it at the same point. Very, very delicate work, but the more you do this, the easier it gets. On your first lesson, the instructor is going to be explaining things in a lot of detail, but the more driving you do, they will leave it up to you. Even the cockpit drill that I showed you earlier, where they'll get you to change your mirrors, all that stuff. On your next few lessons, you do that yourself quickly. So you get in the car, do your mirrors, make sure everything's safe, put your seatbelt on, and then you do a debrief and then you drive on. But on the first lesson, everything is going to be kind of detailed, and then that detail will get a bit less the more you drive. Once you've kind of felt the pedals and you know how to look around, they might get you now to move off and stop. So if your instructor agrees, I think this is something that you should do because it's going to prepare you for the next lesson as well. So once you start driving a bit, the next lesson you can look forward to it, and you've got that out of the way. Some people, just the initial moving off bit is a bit scary for them, but once you've done that bit, it shouldn't be too difficult. So next will be making sure that your seatbelt's on, and then your instructor is going to talk you through everything that you're going to do. So putting your clutch down, getting into gear. I'm doing this quickly because it's just a rough guide of what to do or what to expect in your driving lesson. But if you want a more detailed video on this, check out the other video that I made, which talks you through all the little steps that I'm doing right now. But I'm just showing you what the instructor is going to be telling you. So they get you to put your clutch down, get into first gear, get the biting point, and then do your checks. Put your signal on, and then they'll get your handbrake down. They'll be talking to you the whole time while you're doing this, and they'll get you to steer towards the right while checking your right mirror and checking over your shoulder as well, keeping the clutch still for a bit and then bringing it up again. And then now you're on the roads. Now for a lot of people, this will be really a bit scary because now the car's actually moving and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm actually moving the car. And don't be too scared. Remember, the instructors next to you, they can steer for you a little bit if they need to, or they've got controls as well, so they're going to use those controls if they need to help you out. But most of the time, in this kind of, the reason why they come to this kind of road is so you can drive slowly like this just to get used to it. So right now I'm in first gear still, not going too fast. I'm just going to add a little bit of gas to go a bit quicker. And because the gas is really sensitive, a lot of learners will press it too hard and then go, oh my God, it does too much. So it's all part of the process. Don't get too scared. Just go back on the gas again and do it that way. And that way you're going to get more experienced. You're going to see how the car actually moves. And even on the turns like this, you might be a bit like, whoa, which way do I turn? And then you might turn too much this way or too much that way. It's all part of the process. Don't be too worried. So next they'll get you to pull over on the left, which is part of the lesson. So mirror, they'll explain all this to you. Signal left, and then you're going to be checking your mirror as you go towards the left. Now here, a lot of learners will struggle to actually pull up because they've never done it before. So don't worry if you get it wrong. And then you want to line the car up. And here people brake too hard or even stall. Like now the car stalled because I pressed the clutch too late. I'm going to put my handbrake on, go into neutral, and then secure the car and cancel my signal. The engine stalled. I didn't stop properly, but don't worry, it's all part of the learning process. And the more you do this, the more you're going to improve. So that was just a rough guide of what you're going to get on your first driving lesson. Remember, if you're really unsure, communicate with your instructor beforehand so they'll tell you kind of what to expect. But otherwise, don't be scared about it. Don't worry too much about it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be nice. And then even if it is a bit difficult on the first lesson, it's going to get easier the more you drive. So I hope you found this video useful. And if you did, make sure you subscribe for more videos like this. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.